Hi, and welcome to another episode of Ask on CYC. So, buying property on its own is a very dreadful and difficult task here in Australia, yet alone when you have to make the calculations and the inclusions in your costs and to see what your repayments are, it would be dreadful enough on its own too. However, here tonight, we're going to bring you an app where it's going to make things so much easier for you. It's going to make buying property and making calculations so easy for you that you can do it with a press of a button, and it'll take you less than 30 seconds. And tonight we're going to show you how it's done, and we're going to let me introduce you to the creator of the app who made life easy for you to buy property here in Australia. I'm going to introduce you to Hani Roshdy. Welcome to Ask.
Thanks, Mina. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Good to be on Ask. And I encourage the audience members to ask questions because this app could be beneficial for them. And the question that you ask today could be of benefit for you later on. Don't be shy. We're giving you the opportunity. We're giving you a live show. Ask questions. The phone number is 0416 551 292. Whatever you ask will be answered for you on tonight's live show. Thank you. So, Hani, you created an app that makes things easy for people when they buy property. And in terms of calculations, a lot of us out there are not math gurus and can't sit there making quick calculations on the spot, especially when they're at an auction and the price is going past what they're expecting. You know what I mean? So a lot of people need something quick and easy, especially in a situation where they're at an auction. So before I talk about this app, I want to ask you, what's the biggest mistake people do when buying property here in Australia?
Look, there's probably a lot of things that people can do wrong, or a lot of things that can go wrong. For me, I think the worst thing you can do is get in a situation where you don't know the numbers. You don't know exactly what you're up for. You don't know how much you need to pay. You don't know how much you're going to keep on paying over the life of the loan. And I think that's the worst thing that you could do. You could, for example, not know that you have to pay stamp duty, or not know that you're up for stamp duty because you think, oh, well, I'm a first home buyer. I'm not going to need to pay stamp duty. But there are certain situations where a first home buyer will pay stamp duty. Or if you don't know, for example, that you're going to be up for lender's mortgage insurance, which is an amount that will be capitalized onto the loan, which means you'll have additional repayments over the life of the loan. So I think the worst thing you can do is not know exactly what you're going to be up for.
Okay, so with the stamp duty, just so we can give an example. So a lot of people buy a property for $1 million and they think that the property is going to cost them $1 million, but whereas it's actually costing them $1,050,000 because of the stamp duty. But a lot of people don't know that there's stamp duty included, so they think I need $1 million. But what they forget is, no, you don't need $1 million. You need $1,050,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely
so,
right.
So this app does the calculations according to the sum of what the land, the property is purchased at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to tell me more about this app.
Okay.
What's it about? What's involved in it?
Okay. Well, like a lot of things, it started off with a dilemma or a frustration. Maybe the little difference is I had my wife pushing me to make it all happen as well. But yeah, we were looking at buying a property, and I'm very numbers focused. And what I found was I was constantly doing calculations and going to different sources. You know, we'd look at a property, we'd see the purchase price. I'd calculate the deposit, which would then help me calculate what the loan balance is. Then I'd have to calculate what the stamp duty was, depending on how much deposit we wanted to put down. If lender's mortgage insurance was applicable, I'd go to another website to calculate LMI. Then we'd go to another website to calculate the loan repayments, and you'd vary it based on principal and interest, or interest only, or you change, you know, the interest rate. And then, you know, you find out that, oh, this property might go for a little bit more than what you initially thought, and then doing the calculations all over again. And I thought, there's got to be an app for this, because every time you do something, that's what you say, there's got to be an app for this.
Yeah.
And what I found was, instead of there being no apps for this, there was lots of apps for this. But it was lots of apps that would do individual things. So I can download one app that'll calculate stamp duty. Then I can download another app that'll calculate loan repayments. And I don't think there's an app for lender's mortgage insurance that I found. There could be, I haven't seen one. But it was a whole bunch of different apps. And if there was if there was one app that did all of them, it was one app that had a bunch of different calculators. So you were doing different calculations anyway. I didn't find anything that was an all-in-one calculator. And that's where this all started. So we were looking at a property. I decided to create my own spreadsheet that I could just plug the numbers in and it'll tell me what I needed to know straight away. And after we did that, and my wife saw it and she's like, we should really push for this. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, we'll see how we go. But yeah, she was one of the biggest drivers behind this. It started off as a problem. And because we had the product essentially, which was the spreadsheet, we used it and we thought it would be a quick process once the spreadsheet was developed. But 2 years into it, that's how long it took. Went through a couple of developers and lots of trial and error. There's actually a lot of information on the app and it was really hard to try and get so much information just in a simple and clear way that, where you'd get your results in literally a few clicks. So it was a lot of hard work, but definitely worth it in the end. I think we got a good product with potential to improve as well and add potential to add more to it. But that's, basically, the story how it all started.
Okay, so my next question is about benefit, but I'd like to move on. Before I move on to that, I'd like to say maybe a nagging wife did come to good benefit.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
So the question I wanted to ask is who might benefit from this ad?
Yeah, look, pretty much anyone looking to purchase a property, whether you're an investor, whether you're a first home buyer, if you're looking to buy a property, this app is going to be useful. It's going to calculate all the numbers for you. We found that some mortgage brokers have found it useful as well. It does the calculation on the spot for anyone who's looking to buy a property while they're running through the numbers with them, and maybe they could show them the different interest rates on different products. So they found it useful as well. And of course, real estate agents. One of the biggest questions that every real estate agent gets asked while they're at an open house is how much is stamp duty on this? And I've seen that myself at open houses. So there's a wide variety of people that can benefit from it, and the feedback that we've received from all of them has been pretty positive. So it definitely works for a wide variety of people.
Yeah, sure. So anyone can access and download this app?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a free app. You can download it.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Does it cost money?
No, absolutely. It's free to download. You can download it on Android or iOS. You can get it on either one. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. All right. So let's talk more about how it works. So how is it different from any other app? You said there's a few options out there.
Yeah.
What's different about it? I know you mentioned earlier in your introduction that it's got it all in one, but there's a lot of apps out there. What makes it different? Why should I download your app and not
Look,
your neighbours?
absolutely, the all-in-one factor is one of the biggest benefits. If you don't have to switch between apps or you don't have to switch between calculations, everything's right there. It's one of the biggest benefits. You've also got the option to save your calculations. So if you're looking at 2 or 3 different properties, or if you're looking at one property that may go up in price, you can save those different prices, or you can save all of those properties and you can go back and forth between them. You can customize the results based on how much cash you've got in the bank. So if you know you've got this much to spend on a property and you want to know exactly how your cash will be allocated against the stamp duty, the deposit, and then against the loan, to give you exactly what your repayments are going to be based on exactly how much cash you've got, that's an option as well. The other thing is lender's mortgage insurance. Now, different banks calculate lender's mortgage insurance differently. So LMI will vary between the bank. So what we've got is an average across all of them, and that translates into maybe several dollars in the loan repayment as a difference. So you'll get a very accurate result and calculation by using this app. We keep it up to date. We recently updated stamp duty from the stamp duty changes that affect on 1 July this year. So it's definitely accurate. And we're looking at making improvements as well, and we're taking on feedback that we receive from our customers.
Sure. Can this app, does it vary between state to state? Does it have all the inclusions of all the states? And
absolutely, yeah, every state. Yeah, so different states calculate stamp duty differently. So if you, when we go through the app a little bit later, you'll see the first page has the questions, and based on state, based on whether you're a first home buyer or whether you're an investor, whether you want to live in the house or not. So yeah, all of those different variations are taken into account.
Okay, so before we look at the app, and I mentioned earlier that I would definitely use it as at an auction, especially when you're going thinking it's going to go for this amount, but it goes for this amount. So
Yeah.
how is it beneficial to be used at auctions?
Yeah, look, because it's so quick and so responsive and it's right there, it's just a matter of flicking from the first page to the second page and changing the purchase price. You'll get the stamp duty changed on the spot, you'll get your deposit changed on the spot, and you'll know exactly what your loan repayments are going to be. So we put up a post not too long ago where we showed that if you were to purchase a property for $950,000, but it was, sorry, if you were looking at a property for $950,000 and then it ended up selling for $1 million, the variance in your loan repayments was $53 a week. Now, you're not going to know that just by, there's no way you're going to know that while you're at an auction. So if you're there and you think you can bid a little bit more, of course, everything is subject to your approvals from the bank and your finances are in order. So I'm definitely not saying that none of that applies. Of course it does. But it's good to know that if you wanted to go an extra 50 grand, besides a little bit of extra that you'll need to pay for deposit and stamp duty, it's $53 a week. And that's based on, 4.5% interest rate, which is the higher end of most interest rates now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the app a few days ago, and I had to play around with it. From beginning to end, inputting the numbers, it took me about 20 seconds to get through the app.
That's the idea.
That's how quick it was.
Yeah, that's absolutely the idea. It's meant to be quick, it's meant to be responsive, it's just meant to be right there. Nobody wants to wait for anything these days.
Okay, so let's have a look at that. But before we do, audience members, please, this is your chance to ask questions, get more idea about the app and how it can benefit you. If you're thinking about buying property, thinking about investing, this app is quick, it's easy. Have a chat, send us a text, give us a call and speak to Hani on tonight's live show, the creator of the app. The number is 0416 551 292. So we're about to upload the app and show the audience how it's used.
Yep.
Cool. That's going to appear on the screen now.
All right.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. That's the first page.
All right, yep, so that's the first page there. So pick whichever state you're in. So let's say we're in New South Wales. We want to purchase an investment property. We're not a first home owner and it's an established property. Let's say we're going at an auction. Put in your purchase price, let's say $850,000. Hit results. So straight away you've got the first 4 boxes up the top show your deposit. So if you think you're going to put a 5% deposit, 10% deposit, 20% deposit, it'll work out the calculation. So let's say we're going to go on a 10% deposit. Your cash required is the deposit plus your stamp duty. So your stamp duty is calculated there. You need $118,740 up front with a 10% deposit. Now, the next part is what your loan balance will be. And you'll see the last item there is LMI. There's a lot of calculators out there and not a lot of them that will take lenders' mortgage insurance into account. For those of you that don't know, LMI gets charged by the bank where you have less than a 20% deposit. So if we change that to 20% deposit, you'll see LMI goes there.
Okay.
But if we go back to 10%, let's leave it there. And then your final thing is your loan repayments. So you've got your interest rate and your loan term, which again are both customizable. So if you can get a good interest rate and it's down to 3.7%, let's say an investment property and you're looking at only interest-only repayments. So there you go. In just a few clicks, we've put in the purchase price, we know the loan balance, and we can see what our loan repayments will be. What I was talking about a little earlier about exactly how much cash you've got. So that's the My Cash button up the top. So if you know you've got $150,000 in the bank, throw that in there and it'll do all the calculations for you.
Oh,
it
wow.
allocates as much of it towards your cash required and then your loan balance reduces. Let's say you didn't have enough. Let's say you've got 50 grand in the bank. It'll tell you that it's insufficient. It's pretty depressing to see, but it tells you that if you want to purchase a property for $850,000 and you've got 50 grand in the bank, it's not going to happen. But that's it. So if if this is where you're going with it, you've got the option to save the result down the bottom, put it in whatever you want to call it, and then that button on the top right, that's where all your results are saved. So if you want to pull up a previous property that you've looked at, all the results are there. There's the interest rate that I put in, there's the cash that I put in, and you can flick through as many properties as you want and compare them.
Okay, so maybe my question, maybe on that page there now. So what difference is if it's invest or live in? What calculations or what difference does it make for you?
So that the big thing about whether you're going to live in the property or invest is more for first home buyers. So first home buyers get stamp duty exemptions or concessions, and they'll usually only get it if they're going to live in the property. So if you're a first home buyer and you're going to buy an investment property, it's very likely that you're going to be up for stamp duty.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And that's why that question's there.
All right, yeah, so the app is just so easy to use. It's just pretty much 2 pages.
Yeah,
and a couple of inputs.
Yeah, this is pretty much phase 1 for us.
Okay.
So next year we expect to add a few more features to it, which will be in the form of in-app purchases. So earlier this year, the government announced some stamp duty changes for foreign investors. So we'll add a feature for foreign investors so that it calculates the stamp duty surcharge for them. There are additional fees that you'll incur when you purchase a property. So the first thing that's not calculated in here, because it's only minor, it doesn't have a huge impact on it, is the land transfer fee and the mortgage registration fee. We're going to add those features in as well. And we'll also give users an opportunity to add whatever other expenses they want. So solicitors' costs, property reports, all the inspections. You'll be able to add whatever costs you've got that you think you'll incur up front.
Sure.
So to help you calculate everything a little bit more accurately. We'll also give people the option. So basically the way this works now is assumes you've got the cash and you're going to purchase a property using your cash. But of course, a lot of people, investors particularly, will use the equity in an existing property. So we'll give people the option to do these calculations using equity instead of just cash.
So adding like a security.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
House, yeah.
Yeah, because you're effectively taking out 100% loan. You know, you're borrowing 100%, except say 20% plus stamp duty is secured against the first property,
Sure.
and then 80% is secured against the second one.
Sure.
So right now, you won't get the loan repayments for that 20% plus stamp duty.
Okay.
So the next feature that we'll be able to add in is to give you all of that as well.
Okay. It'll be very useful adding all these little hidden costs like solicitors' costs,
Yeah.
building inspectors' costs, because when you buy a house, it's not just that one figure that the house is
Nah.
cost. There's
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
cost, and you need to know if you can afford it or not
Yeah.
to take that step, because a lot of people assume that it's just that one cost, then down the track realize, hey, we can't service this loan, we can't
Yeah.
afford
Yeah.
the house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that we would like to add is, Australia's big property investors all over the place. So we'd like to add an investment property section as well, where if you're looking at purchasing a property and you know roughly what the rental income will be and what some of your expenses will be, all of that, you'll be able to input that, the calculations will flow through and calculate your return on investment.
Okay.
So that's another thing that we're looking at. And the final thing that we're looking at is just removing that lender's mortgage insurance calculations for those that don't want it. I found out that some lawyers and doctors don't have to pay LMI regardless of how much deposit they put in. So that was interesting. Maybe we're in the wrong profession.
All right. So I know one feature that I love and I'll use is the fact that it's so quick, especially at auctions, because let's face it, these days, especially in Sydney, properties are so hot that they're just being sent straight to auctions. I know that that being so quick and efficient and easy, I'll definitely use that.
Yeah.
When I'm at auctions, giving me an idea how much my parents. But let's say I got an eye on a few properties and I like to compare them. Does this app have a feature, or is there a feature coming up?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is that you can save as many properties as you want in there, and you can flick between them, call them whenever you like, and you can save it based on the purchase price, based on how much money you want to put in, and you'll be able to see what your upfront costs will be, what your repayments will be. And when we get that, and then later on when we add the investment property option, you'll be able to compare your rate of return as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a final question for you, and this question probably has nothing to do with the actual app itself, but I'm really inspired how you just came up with an idea.
Yeah.
And it took years, but eventually you put it forward.
Yeah. Look, yeah, look, credit where it's due. I've got to give credit to my wife on this one because she was in it for the long haul with me. There was a lot of work, there was a lot of calculations, there were a lot of late nights, a lot of arguments with the developer. But yeah, we had a vision. She created the logo and we went back and forth with everything together as well. So definitely credit where it's due. But yeah, if you're passionate about something and if you've got an end game, in sight, just keep going for it.
Because this era that we live in now is the innovative era, and to keep up and you must be innovative and get up to date with these apps and technologies.
Look, it's absolutely insane how quick technology is moving. I actually went to, a bit off topic of the app, but I went to a conference that talked about technology, and they said the technology that's coming into play in the next decade or two will blow the technology of the last 300 years out of the water. It's absolutely insane. Now, the app industry is literally 10 years old since the iPhone was invented. That's when the app industry came into play. So it's relatively new. 10 years isn't very old, but look how far it's gone already, and look at how many apps are out there and how many app developers are out there. So it's huge. It's definitely something that's not going away anytime soon.
Okay. So I think it's a great app that you have, especially because I'm an investor and I'm always, buying property and I need these quick calculations. And I'm lucky I'm downloading it now because I think once it becomes popular, you might start charging people for it. So and I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your app and sharing and actually making life easy for people out there, especially all these new first home buyers and people who are not number crunching type people.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank you for coming on A.S.K and sharing this app with us. And
no, it's a
great app, and thank you for the initiative, and thank your wife for pushing you and nagging you to...
I'll do that, yeah. No, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annie. Appreciate it. And thank you to our audience members who've tuned into tonight's show. I'm Hani Ibrahim from your CY Studios in Sydney. Good night, and God bless.
CYC Christian Youth Channel.